Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this show without the express written consent of the Financial Guys, LLC is strictly prohibited.
Securities offered through Peak Brokerage Services, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Independent Solutions Wealth Management or Blackridge Asset Management. Financial Guys, Independent Solutions, and Blackridge Asset Management are not an affiliate of Peak Brokerage Services, Inc.
Welcome to TFG Truth. I'm Mike Hayflick along with my partner Mike Sparazza. Each and every week we report facts, expose hypocrisy, and espouse common sense. This week, it's going to be a little bit about COVID and vaccines and about tests and new requirements and how this far left seems to get so tied up trying to tell us what we should do. And none of it's making any sense.
You say this week, as in it's not every other week we're on
Right.
this thing. It's the same topics every
like it's brand new, right? You know, here we are approaching
like this just happened.
As if we're approaching Christmas time, and now it's all coming out. Yeah. We also have a great guest on, Robby Dinero, and we're going to get to some of the things, Robby, that you've experienced in Orchard Park schools. But just really on this note of, you know, I can't help listening now to these crazy people and getting infuriated because they get so tied up trying to tell us why we should get a vaccine, 1 shot, 2 shots, boosted. That's another nice thing now. Now it's not just get a booster. Now they're turning these into verbs, which means it's really going crazy. You've got to get boosted because then...
Right. Ooh, are you boosted?
It's insane. Are you vaxxed? Let's get a necklace and it'll say vaxxed or boosted. Now it's going to have to say vaxxed and vaxxed again and boosted. You're going to look like a rap star. You're going to have chains and chains.
And boosted from birth.
Honest, I mean, let's get
vaxxed and boosted from birth because I've got a badass immune system and I freaking work out all the time. So you bet your ass I'm boosted. I'm boosted because I take care of myself. That's how I'm boosted.
I'm naturally boosted. Yes. So they're trying to tell us now that, I mean, it went from everyone needs to be vaccinated so that you don't get serious illness or die. Well, they found out that in some cases, all right, that's going to help people who are highly vulnerable. It has no impact, though, on young people, on healthy people. And no matter what, if you're vaccinated, boosted 3-4 times over, you can still spread this virus. You see this in the NHL.
Look what's happening I was just going to say, look, NHL and the NBA. Right now, there are basketball teams that are calling back unvaccinated players because they're the only ones healthy enough to play. So they're recalling the previous untouchables. The untouchables are now playing basketball again because the ones that were vaccinated can't play. And aren't the Sabres 2 games canceled? The next 2 Sabres games are canceled, and they're all vaccinated. So it's insanity.
They're bringing back older, less healthy, unvaccinated NBA players just so they can make their dime, right? They've got to get people in the seats of the arena, man. That's how these owners are going to make money. So it's just absolutely insane to me. Then they went on, I have to just tell you, they went on about testing. And the questions were about, well, how are people supposed to navigate through all the different tests that are out there, right? And it was insane. Well, if you feel like you have mild symptoms and you take the home test, the rapid test, and it says negative, you're highly likely to not have the virus. However, you know, you still might want to mask up. And then if you do get a positive test, it might be wrong. So you might want to go to the molecular test, which takes 3. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, they just can't help themselves.
Mike, right now, the tests that they want the kids to take for the Test to Stay program are not the ones that teachers can use. So a teacher can't take that test to stay and teach, but a child can take that test to stay in the school. It's just more bureaucratic insanity. You can't make this stuff up.
And here's my thing. I was saying this to my wife last night because this is a topic of conversation at dinner, 6 to 7 days a week. So 95% of adults in New York State, according to Mrs. Kathy Hochul, says 95% of adults in New York State are at least 1 dose of vaccination, if not fully vaccinated, right? How could we get our worst numbers, and not just our worst numbers in positive tests, but our worst numbers in hospitalizations too, or Poloncarz says they're getting better, but we've had the highest levels of hospitalization we've had in this whole thing. How could that be true at such high
vaccination levels?
Vaccination levels.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense, and it keeps going like this. And then their example is, oh well, but these people that have been getting it that are vaccinated would end up in the hospital, but they're not now. How do you know that? How do you know that? That's the most outrageous thing to say. Oh well, they would have been in the hospital if they weren't vaccinated. You don't know that. No. It's impossible to know that.
Correct.
And that's the new thing because that's the only narrative they have. Yeah.
So
the only thing you need to do to figure out why this is happening with the vaccinations is look at who's making money. Look at the amount of money that Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, look at the billions of dollars they're making right now, and that's what this is about. And then watch where the money flows. Look who they're donating to. Look who's receiving that money. This is about money and power, period.
No doubt. And now let's transition to how this has affected your life, literally nearly 2 years ago. So all of this craziness, this completely false sort of foundation of an argument, right? It's a crumbling argument. And this crumbling argument is what you're supposed to try to then persevere through and keep a business running through to keep food on your table for you and your family. I mean, it's got to be absolutely infuriating.
It absolutely is, Mike. Let's not forget, let's expound on those circumstances. Guess who wasn't suffering during this time? Well, Mark Poloncarz wasn't suffering during this time. None of the elected politicians, those dirtbags, were suffering during this time. Gail Burstein, that loser that's running the health department, she wasn't. In fact, she was making nearly $500,000 while she was telling hardworking moms and dads like me to not work. So that's really important to understand, that the very people that were making the policies were not suffering from the policies. So, of course, they think those policies are great because they're not suffering from them. And now the next thing you need to do is just look at all the restaurants and gyms that did close. I lost count of the number of restaurants and gyms and small businesses that were closed down. But again, when you look at Walmart, when you look at Amazon, when you look at Target, when you look at Pfizer, when you look at Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, man, record profits. Record profits for the big boys, and the little guys were getting freaking hammered. Yeah. So that's disgusting.
And Robbie, let me go back to that too with what they shut down. Gyms, restaurants, the statistics showed that those were not super spreader places, by the way. It's not like gyms and restaurants. It was a 25%, infection rate if you went into one of those places. It just wasn't the case.
Mike, this is so apropos. I mean, this is really important to point out for a couple of reasons. We actually used the state's own data against them to win our case. The day before our case, these brain trusts in the government, these idiots, actually before our case provided data that said Walmart and giant box stores like that were 0.6% of the spread. And then gyms were 0.06% of the spread. So we were 10 times less likely to spread than supercenters. Mm-hmm. Yet the state was actually saying supercenters should stay open at 100%, but gyms should be closed. So not only did the data, common sense data, support that gyms should be open, which is why I was allowed to do what I wanted, but the very people that are supposedly coming up with the strategy to keep us safe were stupid enough to provide us the data we needed to beat them. That's how completely inept the government is. And when we went back to court a second time, and they actually put the witness for the state up there, when our attorneys asked him, what evidence do you have to make your decisions? His words, not mine. I don't know what the evidence is. That's how stupid the government is. That's how completely inept they are. Their witness that they knowingly brought to court to testify on their behalf actually was dumb enough to say they don't know what evidence was considered. I mean, and that's who people are trusting? It's insane.
Well, I do have the answer on why your place shut down and Walmart doesn't, because, of course, it's essential, Walmart. It's an essential business. We need to have that business, right? The liquor store.
Like the alcohol and the ciggies.
Yeah, it's essential business. It has to stay open, right? That was what they said, and that's how ridiculous it is.
You got to keep your servants happy.
Right.
You got to keep them sedated and happy, right? Give them their booze, give them their ciggies, and then they won't revolt.
It's essential for government to get more tax dollars. Listen, as you're talking about Gail Burstein, vaccines and before that, the actual virus, that's like the big golden goose, right? The golden goose that lays the golden eggs. And Gail Burstein, Fauci, everyone in the pharmaceutical industries, they are getting their golden eggs, man. And this golden goose, you're never going to kill the golden goose called COVID, right? I mean, it's just getting.
How many boosts do you need now?
Well, it's never going to end. I mean, now they'll say, now you're only 90. Okay, well, you know what? Now you're only 60 because 3 months have transpired. I mean, it's just never going to end.
Right. And did I hear? Did I hear that people that got the original shot are now no longer vaccinated because like their time expired or something like that?
Right. Fully vaccinated. There has been a change. Great. Fully vaccinated definition.
And here's what I've said, Robbie, and I'm interested to hear if you agree with this. I know we talked to you a little bit about this Saturday, but this is now where the Robby Dineros, the financial guys, the Mike and Mikes, we've already put our foot down to say enough is enough. We said it, 17, 18 months ago, enough was enough, right after the 14 days of slow to spread. And then the summer of love with all the riots and all the everything else, but they weren't getting sick there. Right. But at some point, the people that are at least vaccinated for the 1 dose or the 2 dose, whatever one they did, those are the people that need to step up here and say, wait a minute, we're done with this bullshit.
Yes,
we're not doing it anymore because we've already said our piece and we're going to continue to say our piece, obviously, but we're not the majority of people. I mean, look, if Kathy Hochul's numbers are even 60% accurate, 60% of the state is vaccinated. Those 60% of the people that got to say, wait a minute, first you told me to get this so I could see grandma. Now I still can't see grandma because we're afraid we're going to kill grandma. It's now 20 months later, and we have to get a booster and then maybe a fourth? Like, come on. At some point, these people just got to be like, enough is enough with this shit. I'm done with it.
And just real quick on that note, speaking to those people, if you're listening, folks, listen, we get it. There was a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety about a very, very dangerous virus, like several months into this whole problem, right? Back in 2020, February, March, April, May. You got your vaccinations. You feel like you're strong against the hardest part of this problem, right? This pandemic. But the treatments are far better now. The likelihood of you dying or being seriously ill are far better. And now the virus is getting less and less severe. This Omicron virus, even though it's contagious, that's fine. I might have it and I don't even know it. My body is saying, oh, screw this, and it's squashing the virus, like without me even knowing. So this virus is not as dangerous. So if you were the vaccinated and you're still being oppressed, like enough is enough. Stand up for yourself and stand up for business owners and like Robbie here and say enough is enough. Can't help it.
And meanwhile,
we're just
those
so
guys
fired up.
that are sitting there and vaccinated and all that stuff and still going through all this bullshit. Take a look at what's going on in Florida and Texas. You've got an entire, two of the largest, most populous states in the country are doing just fine without having this crap jammed down their throat.
Right.
And to address those folks that you just addressed, I'm in Wegmans and I lost track of the number of people that have a mask on, but like under the nose or under the chin. And, it's not – I'm done with the fear excuse. I'm done with the fear. Oh, I just can't. I'm scared. It is laziness. It is easier for them just to throw a mask on and feign compliance than it is to fight for their freedom. And that's inexcusable. It's shameful. And if you're going to walk around with a mask under your nose, take the damn thing off. Stand up for your freedom like a damn American. Stand up for your freedom. I'm tired of people saying, oh, I can't. Right. Yes, you can.
Right. And, Robbie, it's funny you say that about the mask. I was watching our beloved leader, Joe Biden's press conference yesterday, and one of the staffers in there asking a question, the reporters, she had an N95 on. So that's like the end-all, be-all mask, right? Yet the problem with the N95 was it wasn't covering her full nose. So I'm like, you're wearing the mask that's supposed to be the best mask you can wear, but half of your nose is showing and you're breathing out.
It's a joke.
And then she's talking and trying to pull it back up. I mean, this is the type of stuff. What are we doing? And I said this to Lomas, and I think you were in the group chat last night, Mike. Am I missing something? Am I in like an alternative world? Like where are we right now? What the hell is going on?
This is the insanity. That reporter, Emily, whatever her name is, that reporter that came in from Fox 29 to interview me, as soon as she walked into the gym, she had her mask on. And I said, hey, Emily, great, I'm glad you're here. Feel free to take your mask off if you want to. Keep it on. It's your choice. She said, you know what her answer was? Her answer was not, oh, no, I like to wear the mask. I believe in the mask. I'm going to wear the mask. That was not it. Her answer was, oh, thanks. My boss makes me wear the mask, and people love to tell on reporters. So she's not interested in wearing the mask. She doesn't want to, but she was trained.
Right.
She was trained by her boss to comply.
Yep.
So when I called her out on that a little bit later, and I said, you're like a well-trained dog. You're like a nice pet. You're sitting there wearing your mask even though you don't want to. Yeah, but they didn't have the guts to talk about that. And then this reporter, whoever this male reporter was that came up there and trying to shame me for calling a female out, and I suppose he made a comparison between her and a dog.
Yeah.
How misogynistic and how sexist is that? Oh, I'm not allowed to insult a female?
It's easy.
If I had said it to a male, it would have been okay. But because it's a female, somehow I'm bullying the female because she can't defend herself? She's the one who's trained like a little pet. She's the one who walked in like a nice, compliant little dog and put her mask on, not because she wants to wear it, because her boss said she had to. Shame on her. And that's what we're dealing with now. We're dealing with people like her, and they're cowards. They're cowards.
And I got to tell you, I've said this a lot recently, but I'm getting so sick and tired of the feelings crap. Right? We're always worried about everybody's friggin' feelings. Right. It doesn't matter what race you are, what gender you are. It doesn't matter what job you do. Just have a backbone.
Right.
If you're annoyed by something, call the person out. If you have an issue, address the situation. Right. Stop hiding behind crap and complaining and bitching and moaning about it. Because all that does is it creates more problem. Just keep complaining.
And then manipulating the story.
Yeah, that honesty creates really, really strong relationships. People don't get that, and that's not what we're seeing out there now.
Honesty is hard.
Right.
Honesty is hard, so they default to easy.
Yeah, easy is so.
And the reason people refer to their feelings because you can't dispute feelings. You can't tell me whether my feelings are right or wrong. They're my feelings. So that's why people default to that, because you don't have to have facts to back up your feelings. So these emotional arguments are nonsense. This is about freedom. This is about Americans being able to do what they want with their lives. Mask up, vax up, or not. But it's got to be your choice. It can't be forced down our throat.
But that's all leftists, and we use the term like not so much the liberals, but the leftists. That's all they have is feelings, because at the end of the day, none of their shit makes any sense.
Right.
Like that's all they have, right? So all you can play all day long because your data doesn't make any sense, right? They always say follow the science, follow the data.
Yes.
Doesn't make any sense here, but your feelings about how you feel when I walk into the store without my mask on, you feel like I'm just going to be infecting you instantly. Like your feelings of worry and fear is all that matters, and that's what's such BS about it.
And your ideas, Rob,
and
you've said it.
Only the government.
Your fear and anxiety shouldn't take away my freedoms, right?
Right. That's right.
You got to take care of your fear and anxieties.
That's right. That's on you to deal with the fear and the anxiety. It's not on me. It can't impede my freedoms. And only the government, only the inept, pathetic government would say follow the science by not challenging it. Where in the history of the world has science not been challenged? Can you imagine if Christopher Columbus said, yeah, I'm just going to follow the science? Where would we be? I mean, you've got following the science. It's challenge the science, not follow the science. Challenge the science.
Well, he was a racist, Robbie. He was a racist, Robbie.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So
we're erasing all that history.
I would love to do a show on Christopher. I would love to do a show on Christopher Columbus. Do you know that Christopher Columbus at 15 was in a shipwreck? And he was floating around at sea for 3 days on a piece of lumber. At 15 years old, made his way back to shore, and still went and did what he did.
Well, not to jump off.
That's the kind of people we got to raise.
Not to jump off topic because we just went in a whole different direction. But on the Christopher Columbus, what cracks me up about the Christopher Columbus stuff is, okay, look, I don't know who he was and what he did back then, and that it is what it is. This is the evolution of the world, right? There's people that were here before us that did things that probably weren't great, but also did things that were great. Here's my favorite part about it. We all hate to celebrate the guy, yet we love to live in our free country with our friggin' iPhone and laptop computers and all that stuff. That's great. But what he did to get us here is, he's a friggin' racist. We got to erase him from history. Okay, well then let's just leave the country.
Yeah.
Just burn the country down.
Anytime anybody anytime anybody brings that up to me, I ask them what happened to the Apache. I say, what happened to the Apache Indians? Like, what happened to them? And they can't answer that. Do you know what happened to the Apache? The Cherokee. The Cherokee literally killed off the Apache to the last man. It wasn't us. It was the Cherokee.
Yep.
Indians have been killing Indians as long as we white people have been killing people.
No doubt.
People kill. That's what we do. That's how we get land. We kill people.
Right here in New York State, right? The Iroquois. I mean, if you weren't part of the Iroquois nation of Indians, whether it was Seneca, Cayuga, Oneida, Onondaga, the Mohawk, you're out. You're crushed. We'll give you a choice. You either join us or we crush you. And that's since the beginning of history. Wait, you mean Indians didn't just like rise out of the ground like peaceful ears of corn just sprouting forth? No. They actually fought for their land? They fought.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
Well, not for nothing, Robbie, you know this better than anybody. The United States is a military too, right? The United States has fought wars too. There have been many men and women that have died for our country and also killed people from other countries. That's the world we live in. Right. I mean, and no matter how your feelings feel, that's not going away. No matter what year it is, it could be, 2085. It's still going to be going on. If 3,100, it's still going to be going on. I mean, this is the world we live in.
So let's get to Robbie in this face of oppression that we're all seeing here. You decided it's not going to be flight; it's going to be fight, and you've been fighting. You've been fighting now. So let's get back to what we've been talking about of late. Orchard Park, the incident. My first question to you is, you went to this board meeting. Did you actually break a law? Because you hear that you were not allowed to be on the premises of Orchard Park School District during their board meeting. And then we also hear, no, I was allowed to as long as I followed the rules. What's the real deal here?
I love how inept Dave Lillick, who's the superintendent, how inept he is. Oh, I'm sorry, the boys got hurt pretty bad.
I think they agree with you, actually.
Dave Lillick is so completely inept, and the lawyers, of course, the government hack lawyers, whoever he's contracted out with, they're hacks because they don't know what they're doing. And I guess this will all get found out. This will all be decided in a court of law. I was banned from public government property. There has to be a process to ban somebody from a government-owned public building, and I can assure you, the superintendent hand-picking people is not the process. It's just not the way it works. We'll find out in a court of law here pretty soon. But then they were stupid enough to answer our letter, which is what we hoped they'd do. They were dumb enough. They took the bait. They answered our letter, and they said, well, here are the conditions in which he can enter the building. So I entered the building under those conditions, and they placed me in handcuffs and charged me with criminal trespass third degree. It's just freaking hilarious. So now the rest will be seen in history, and they are going to have a very hard time with this, particularly when there were at least 20 other parents in the building without their masks, whom they didn't ask to leave, whom he didn't ban, whom he didn't arrest, whom he didn't prosecute. They're going to have a hard time with this. And I don't know what makes me laugh harder, the level of inadequacy of the attorneys that work for the school district or the level of ignorance of Dave Lillick, who's a superintendent. How does somebody that ignorant get into a position like that? I don't know, but he won't be there long.
So I'd like to know, so taxpayers are now going to pay for the lawyers that they're bringing to combat things that they came up with, that they basically created laws. They're giving mandates and dictates to people. What kind of feedback have you gotten? Like what have school taxpayers, other parents, even community members that don't have children in the schools have? They're in the schools anymore.
Overwhelming support. I don't go a day without getting a phone call, an email. I can't walk through Wegmans without getting stopped and somebody shake my hand. I can't walk through a department store without somebody stopping and shaking my hand saying thank you for fighting for our kids, because this is disgusting. Where is the end? Where is the end in sight? Right now, my boys, they've gone through first grade and now second grade with a mask over their face. How do you learn phonics? How do you learn how to communicate properly? Everybody knows this. This is the most impressionable formative years. There's a reason children who are multilingual, it's easy for them when they are young. It's easy to become multilingual when you're young. It's so much more difficult when we're older. These are the formative years. This is when we need facial recognition. This is when we learn how to interact with each other, how to react to each other. We learn social norms, and we're paralyzing our kids right now with this. And the fact that there are principals, there are administrators, principals, and superintendents, they're looking at us in the eye saying, no, this is appropriate. This is appropriate to do to your children because we want money. That's disgusting, and they all need to be fired and replaced. Every single principal that's acting right now, every administrator, every principal, every superintendent needs to be shot and put out to pasture. They need to be gone. They are failing our kids. Shame on them.
Well, part of it is the dumbing down of America, which we've talked about numerous times, right? It's a calculated effort to make us dumber. I really believe that at this point. There's no need for kids, they're talking about it right now in the city of Buffalo, to go remote again. I don't know if you've read that, Robbie, or not, but
that's insanity.
It's insanity.
It's money. It's about money.
Yep. It absolutely is. And before I ask one other question, Mike, you're going to have to change your intro for Robby to joined by Athletes Unleashed owner and known convict Robby Dinero coming up here. We're going to have to change that.
There's one. I hate statistics because I'm not a statistician, and statistics can be manipulated. But there's one statistic that's really telling. Right now, there are approximately 750,000 deaths that are attributed to corona. Of those 750,000, it is approximately within about 10, 500 are 17 or below. 500. Yep. 500 are 17 or below. So the population that is factually and provably least vulnerable to the effects of the Wuhan are the ones that are being forced to wear masks, while the very people that force them to wear masks are going out boozing and drinking and pounding beer and stuffing their face with chicken wings without a mask. It's disgusting. Every one of those superintendents and principals need to be fired.
And what's even scarier than that, too, is the fact that, like, even up to age 55, the numbers are extremely low and the percentages of death are extremely low.
Right.
And even up to 65, it's not as bad as again, I would love to go downtown Buffalo or any college around and ask kids or adults, what do you think the death rate of this virus is? What is the percentage of people that get it that die?
Right.
I guarantee you'd get numbers that people think the positivity rate is the death rate. That's how jumbled this whole thing has been. And it's friggin' scary. And I keep saying this, I understand why people are hiding in a bunker like Joe Biden did during the campaign, because they're petrified. The government has scared the bejesus out of everybody.
And they're ignorant.
Yeah. And they're that's true.
And have you been into an elementary school? Do you see the way these kids wear their masks? Just talk to any honest teacher. Like the masks are on their ears, they're finger poking their masks all day long. They're like, "Are you kidding me? These masks aren't doing anything." If the spread has been slowed, it's because of really awesome teachers that are doing the basics. Like, "Oh, you just came in from outside. Wash your hands. Oh, you just blew your nose. Wash your hands. Oh, you just yanked your mask off, picked it up off the ground. Wash your hands." That's what's stopping the spread. Is good teachers, not this crazy mask nonsense. This is insane, and we are crippling our kids' ability to learn by doing this, and it is shameful. And this is all about money. This is strictly about money.
Yep. And this is not new stuff. I taught for a number of years, and so before we'd go to lunch, I'd say anyone who needs to use the restroom, go ahead. But even if you don't, you're going in to wash your hands before lunch. So go wash your hands. We'd come back. We'd say, all right, anyone need to use the bathroom? If you don't, go wash your hands. You just were in the cafeteria. We're going out to recess. All right, you come in from recess, you're playing football, you're touching each other. Run in the bathroom, everyone. Go wash your hands. We even had a sink in the school. You could go to the back of the classroom and running water and soap, right? And then at the end of the day, I had kids, fourth graders, who were assigned the job, and we changed the assignments all the time. Go get the wipes out of the container and wipe off all your desks and your chairs, just quick, right? But we did this. We did this anyway. Right. Now, to your point, fitness center owners, restaurant owners, bar owners, they also do these things. Why? Because they want people to like their establishment. It's smart business to keep it clean and make people feel like, oh, good, I'm not going to be sitting in a big pile of saliva and a bunch of snots.
Restaurants. Yeah,
I mean, you're not going to, because you're going to be a good business owner.
That's right.
So anyway, it's gotten so far from common sense. The facts are so convoluted now, but it's people just going, oh, it's getting too complicated. Just tell me what to do. Here's my arm. How many more? I mean, honestly, God.
And these superintendents in the schools, they keep saying their hands are tied. We'll lose funding. Their hands are tied. No, your hands aren't tied. My hands were supposedly tied, and I was willing to put it on my. Hell, I got arrested. My hands were tied, and I got arrested. I'm so tired of these superintendents and principals saying our hands are tied. We're just following the rules. That's not what leaders do. Leaders don't just follow the rules. Leaders don't teach obedience. Leaders teach critical thinking and taking action and moving to the point of friction and doing what needs to be done. And I'm still waiting for any of these principals and superintendents to stand up and advocate for our kids. And until they start advocating for our kids, I will never stop advocating for our kids. I'll never stop getting arrested. I'll never stop putting it all on the line. We got to fight for these kids.
And in these schools, instead of teaching how to properly wear a mask, maybe we should teach how to be healthy and have a healthy diet. And maybe let's balance a checkbook or a budget. That might be a good thing to teach. Don't go into $150,000 of student loan debt. That might be something good. Now, and Mike, you said this morning, and I'll say it so everybody can hear it. It's about time we talk about eating healthy and taking care of yourself. Robby, obviously, you're one of the biggest proponents of working out, getting a workout in, because guess what? Sitting on your lazy boy chair, watching TV all night, shoving chicken wings down your throat and drinking 15 beers is part of the reason why you're 300, 400 pounds and this virus is coming to get you. And I hate to say that because I don't want this to affect anybody, but it's proven the unhealthy and the elderly are the ones that this virus is attacking. It's not the healthy. It's not the young people, right? You got to take care of yourself. Yes. You just have to do it. And I'll be the one to say it because New York doesn't want to talk about it, but that's the problem. Don't smoke. Don't overdrink. Don't overeat. Take care of yourself. Work out.
Right. Ron DeSantis
How can you
down
love
in Florida
anybody if you don't love yourselves?
Yep.
Honestly, right. And then you can, it's the blame game, right? Ron DeSantis down in Florida has challenged things. He said, no. You can give me any advice you want. You can give me any recommendations you want. But I am the leader of this state of Florida. I am saying no. We are doing it a different way. Now they're doing public service announcements about better health. Get up. Get moving.
Right.
Be fit.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
He's challenged it, and it's absolutely worked. And he's allowed people to maintain their freedom,
which is not rocket science either, by the way. Leading a healthy lifestyle is kind of the key to life, right? I mean, it helps you keep heart disease away, potential cancers away. Obviously, these things can still happen, but you try and reduce the risk of that by staying healthy. And it's not just by over vaccinating yourself; it's by doing the healthy things, whether it be eating healthy, working out, whatever that may be.
And even then, it's not a guarantee you're going to survive. I've got a number of people who have been afflicted with cancers, with cancer treatments. They fought, and they often lose that battle. But you're increasing the probabilities of your success. This has nothing to do with this virus, though, because this virus has shown it does not have severe implications on people who've remained healthy. So I don't know if we lost.
That is the truth.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we still got your voice, Robby. We lost maybe your video.
Yeah, it might just be delayed on our side.
No problem.
I'll figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just get to, here we are, Christmas week. And right after Christmas, you've got a nice visit to court. Tell us about what's happening, what's coming up for you.
Yeah, it's going to be a simple one. On the 28th, I've got an appearance. My attorney and I will go there on the 28th, and we are expecting this to be completely thrown out. This will be. That's what we're expecting. We're expecting this to be thrown out, and then the fun's going to start. Then the fun's going to start because we're gonna hold the school accountable. I'm going to hold Dave Lillick personally accountable for what they did. I'm going to hold them accountable. Right now, there's like a mugshot of me up in the schools. Persona non grata. Like, I'm not allowed on school, according to Dave Lillick. I'm not allowed on school grounds. There's a mugshot of me. Like, they've got my picture up there hanging in schools. Imagine what that's like for my kid. Like, now I think that's freaking hilarious.
That's disgusting.
But how's that for my kids? Or how's that for anybody? How's that for anybody's kid? That's the way they do? That's what they do to people? That's what Dave Lillick does to people? And he thinks that's going to intimidate me or stop me? That's only giving me more fuel to the fire, and that's only making me fight harder, and I will only keep showing up more, and we are going to bury him because of this.
My picture,
He's
by the way,
personally responsible for this.
My picture's hanging in my high school, but it's on the class picture. So I mean,
not as good.
It's not all by myself. I mean, I don't aspire to have it hanging all by itself, saying avoid this guy, but that's actually so insulting, Robbie. You got, I mean, and obviously we're making a bit of a joke about it, but that's insulting. That's actually downright, like, I don't know. I mean, that seems criminal to point a finger at a certain person in the school district.
Public enemy number one.
Seriously.
Right. We Dave Lillick is going to be paying for this. They're absolutely going to be. They're going to be feeling the pain here pretty soon. That's a fact. Yeah. That's a fact. He hasn't learned his lesson yet. We're going to crush him.
Oh. Robbie, are we going to get another Tucker Carlson interview? Is that in our future here for you?
I don't know. You know what I do know for sure. I'd like to do more interviews with you guys because we're going to keep fighting for these kids. Like your network, the financial guys, Stefan Mihailu, Nancy Orticelli. There's so many people, the Constitutional Coalition of Western New York, so many amazing patriots that are just concerned with freedom. Not with a political agenda, not with right side, left side, Democrat, Republican, but just simply allowing people to choose freedom. There's so many amazing people. Regardless of what interviews come, we are going to continue to work together and fight for this thing because, man, we're not letting up. We are more stubborn than they are stupid.
Just on the last note here, give us a few websites, give us some of those organizations that people can actually look up online and then get more involved.
I want to limit it to two. The two most important websites I think people can go to is the Constitutional Coalition of Western New York, because they are not politically motivated so much as they are advocates for freedom and the Constitution, and that's a great way to stay informed. So you can sign up for updates there and rallies that are happening and ways to participate in organizing for freedom. And the second website is fightforyourfamily.com/home. So that's FIGHT, then the number 4, your family. Fight, the number 4, your family.com/home. You have to have /home on there or the page won't come up. That's another place that you can sign up for web updates. And if the Fight for Your Family initiative is vouching for something, you can be sure it's vouching for freedom. That it's not a politically motivated thing. It's not some crazy agenda. It's just simply parental choice.
All right. Thanks, Robbie, for joining us today.
I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to come on. Thanks so much. You guys are real patriots. I appreciate your fight for freedom.
We'll do this again to hear about your day in court.
Yeah, so hopefully soon. We want to hear how this has turned out for you.
I will.
All right.
I'll reach out.
Awesome.
Thanks, Robbie.
All right. Folks, thanks for tuning in.
Have a good day.
We appreciate you tuning in to TFG Truth. I'm Mike Hayflick for Mike Speraza. Merry Christmas to you. We will be back next week.